This is the Grow Business Podcast with Cory Mosley.
Okay. They got us doing everything. Like, you know, I feel like they think we are just marionettes. We're on the string of the marionette.
Right, we
got people in the studio telling us to pose and smile and do this and do that. Willie H has got stuff blasted out of here.
Right.
I think we need to revolt. I feel like they're treating us like the help over here, LG. What do you think?
I mean, we could be like the Boeing employees.
They're just winding us up,
straight.
like, you know. It's just like, it's like telling us to just dribble.
Right.
Shut up and dribble the ball. It's kind of how I.
Like,
it's kind of how I feel like. Yeah, they're doing crazy stuff here. Well,
exactly.
Folks, don't change that dial in case you think you. Well, I guess you got to push the button to actually listen to this. So you probably know where you are. You are at the Grow Business Podcast. I'm your host, Cory Mosley. Oh, he's doing well. He's doing well. I'm joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend.
Voice of reason.
LG007. Now he got ahead of himself there. He's a little too gitchy with it. I got to say his name first. Then we drop his line. Okay.
He's got a quick trigger today.
This is what happens. Yeah. Willie H has been drinking kefir lately. And I don't know if one of the is part of kefir get you jacked up.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, Willie H is here.
Hit the buttons for me.
Yes. Kefir drinking, Willie H. You drink kefir?
What is that? No.
It's some form of milk, isn't it? It's it's probiotics.
Oh, well, I probably should.
Yeah, kefir is a fermented milk drink with a sour taste. Lost me there.
Right.
Made using a culture of yeast and bacteria.
Sounds like buttermilk.
So I think it's good for gut health.
Okay. Yeah. Which is, look, we could all use that, but I'm sure there's other opportunities to get better gut health too.
Then kefir?
Than what you just described.
Kefir rhymes with heifer. Can we say
well, it sounds like buttermilk to me, and you know that makes good pancakes.
I like buttermilk pancakes.
Right, 100%.
I don't. Okay, kefir pancakes for you? Yeah, let's see. I bet you'll notice the difference. Well, folks, nonetheless, we are here. We've already started. We've got another great show for you today here. We're so thrilled to have you here. LG007 and I are super excited that you are tuning into another episode. We've got some bingers out there. I've got some people that have hit me up. Like, apparently we're a hit for people who have long drives.
Okay. Yeah.
And, maybe, don't want to hear that song that's been playing on the radio 50,000 times, like the official song of the winter, the summer, the fall.
Right.
Because radio stations have a tendency, they really beat that top 40 stuff to death.
Right.
I don't know what the intent is. I guess it's just because we like it but we are thrilled to be your alternative to top 40 music.
Well, in that top 40 music, the consistency of it.
Yeah. They
think it drives traffic, and traffic drives our ears, and ears drive advertising.
Well, I was even stunned when the one person in particular was telling me this. I was even stunned. He's like, I've got a 5-hour drive, so I've been catching up on a podcast.
Oh,
and I'm like, you listen to it for the whole drive? Like, you listen to all the, like, back to back? I said, you've got to be sick of me by the time you actually, talk to me, right? But no, who can get,
who's
never get enough to Grow
of
Business Podcast, right?
Right.
Exactly. We're sponsored today.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. Position for Growth book now in the stores. That's right. My new book, if you have not picked up a copy, you must be living under a rock. Position for Growth now on Amazon. Also, you can get it at CoryMosley.com. I mean, listen, that's only if you want a roadmap to embark on a journey, to transform your business, increase prosperity. If you're not interested in those things, of course, don't buy the book. But many people think it's the best $20 that you could spend.
Well, and if you're listening to this, the principles align with the principles in the book.
Yes.
So if you like what you hear here,
you're gonna
love what's in the book.
Yes.
And you can make notes and write and do all kinds of stuff.
And then you become a client and go to the next stratosphere.
When you go to the next level, that's 100%.
Spoiler alert. That's what we'd like to happen here when we do this podcast.
Exactly.
Spoiler alert.
That's exactly right.
So, yeah, I mean, as we talked about coming back from summer, we talked about some tweaks that we were making. And one of those things was really keeping everything within the umbrella of the 5 pillars, because that is the main principal position for growth, and also us as an organization helping companies get positioned for growth through those 5 pillars, mindset, sales, marketing, operations, and people. So we want to have a theme every show. I mean, we always have a topic, but now we want to, the goal is to have that theme. So today, and as always, one thing we didn't change is the mystery box for Lon Graham.
Yay. I got a 20% chance of being right.
Yeah, that's right. That is correct.
If I guess.
So, yes. So, okay. Did I say yet? Did I say the pillar?
No.
Okay. Go ahead. What do you think the pillar might be?
I'm going with people.
People. Okay. Not this episode. But the good news is eventually, just like a broken clock, you will be right at some point.
That's exactly right.
So today we're going to focus on the marketing pillar.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to talk about the marketing pillar. And what we're exploring today is we're going to talk about some common mistakes that small business owners make when they try to explain and market the problems they solve to customers.
Oh, my goodness.
And I just got off a marketing meeting for a new client we're working with, and we were kind of walking through this process. And it's very interesting to me how, and listen, everything's training and education. So if there's one thing people know I say over and over again, is professionals hire professionals. So that client has done the right thing. He's brought in professionals. He's brought myself in and my team and our marketing partners to grow the business. That's the goal. So again, but within that, you want client feedback. You want to get the engagement there. So I find it very interesting when I talk to business owners, because many of them, when we go, what problem are you solving? Right. They give us an interpretation that's more about their product or service than the solution, like than the real problem. And I think people get this wrong, particularly business owners who haven't formally been trained in marketing or really don't have that background. You're great at pest control. That doesn't make you a great marketer.
Well, it's, people that are great at something want to talk about what they do because it's what they know the best. And it's through their lens and through their filter. So to your point, when you ask somebody who's an expert at what they do, who does it very, very well, and is coming to the Mosley Strategy Group for expertise on how to communicate it better, they're coming to you because you can take that information and turn it into a meaningful message. You
ever met somebody that is so excited about what they do, but what they do to you is like, wow, I don't know that I could be excited about this. Like I flew with a guy one time, and you get into before I get the headphones on, that's the opening that people find to talk, right? Because the goal is really to sit down, get those earphones on, and that's kind of I'm not really interested in talking piece. But he got me before I got to that, and you have that conversation, particularly when you're in the front of the plane, middle plane, back of the plane. Those people don't really want to talk to you. But, kind of we view, if you're in that 1A, 2A, 3 situation, maybe there's some business to be done. Maybe there's some networking, that kind of thing, right? You don't talk to the middle seat guy that is jammed in, angry, looking to be there. But so we start talking, and he sells used airplane parts. Okay. I don't know. It's like, oh, we supplied this plane. I'm like, oh, great. That's what I want to know. This thing's cobbled together by used airplane parts. Thank you. There you go, Willie H. But you're getting into I'm getting into the conversation, but he's getting into the conversation. Like he's jazzed up about, the refurbishment and the process and how we do this and do that. And I'm just like, man, I just don't know that I could get up every day and slang used airplane parts passionately, oh, Cory, how long have you been doing that? 30 years. So to your point, I know. I'm glad that he's as excited as he is, because you're right. I couldn't be. Yeah. And I'm glad that there's somebody that is that excited. Yeah. That the person that does it is as committed and passionate and excited about it. It just is not me. Yeah. That's not what I'm getting excited about. Pet exterminator, right? Oh, I captured a 7-pound rat the other day. I mean, it was amazing. Hey, you want to see pictures? No. No, I do not.
Right.
No, I'm not interested in the origin of cockroaches.
Right.
And
exactly.
how many different flavors there are of them, how many different versions of them. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I mean, you want to have excitement, and I can appreciate that. I just, it's interesting. So let's get into this.
Okay.
Let's
We're
get
talking
into
about marketing
this.
today,
Yeah, we're talking about the common mistakes because it's going to be very important, particularly moving forward. Because here's what I can tell you. It's not, competition is not going to cease.
Correct.
Unless you are on some unique niche, niche, whatever you like. The marketplace, because of the internet, because of the low barrier to entry to get in business now.
Right.
I'm not talking about brick and mortar, opening massive restaurants, where you need $1 million to do that, but like consulting.
Right.
I mean, my area, coaching, like people are waking up and being coaches, or they're, going through a course and they're certified through their own certification, right?
Correct.
I'm certified by the American Council of Coaching Institutional Individuals, right? The CACI for short, or whatever it is.
Exactly.
So what that means is there's more people in the market going after attention. So I can promise you it's not going to get easier from a competitive standpoint. So addressing these things, fixing these problems, looking at these things, there are people right now that are looking back at their previous year going, I don't know what happened.
Right.
We did everything the same.
Right.
Which could be the problem.
It's part of the problem.
Right. We still deliver a great product. We still deliver a great product or service.
Right.
And, why are things changing? Like, I wouldn't want to be lens crafters or Pearl Vision right now with Warby Parker.
Yeah.
I go into a Warby Parker, I'm still in denial about needing glasses.
Okay.
Lord
have mercy.
So I keep them around casually.
Right.
Right. Like, if I know you're there right here, so we're safe.
Right.
If the point comes that I don't know that you're there, then I'll pull those out. Right.
Okay.
But I think about the crowds, the amount of people in a Warby Parker.
Oh, yeah.
Those are all people who would not, if no Warby Parker existed, would be in Pearl Vision.
Right.
I don't want to be Luxottica, the largest maker. Like,
right.
They have to be looking at a trend line. That trend line has to be going the other way with low cost providers.
Right.
I don't have to $400 for lenses, $500 for frames, not even lenses. Like they've kind of just tackled that in a completely different way, and have basically said, same thing with the razor blade guys did.
Yeah.
Now the difference, though, to me in that example, not to get too far off the difference though is my Gillette razors are still better. Yeah. Like you think of Harry's and you think of the Dollar Shave guy that came out and sold for $1 billion.
Right.
He won. Those blades were not good.
No.
So I wasn't just saying, so those blades were not good. I didn't think Harry's was that great.
Right.
Although they did a great packaging, placement, branding.
100%.
And blades are outrageously expensive.
They are. Yes.
But I'm not messing with my face. It's the moneymaker, baby.
Well, that's 100% right. I mean,
I don't want nicks and scratch. I haven't had a nick or scratch in years using Gillette.
Correct. And, you're in front of a camera, you're in front of audiences, you're in front of people on a regular basis.
Right. I can't be afford to be chipped up.
You cannot afford to have some toilet paper stuck in your cheeks.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember the last time that's happened.
No, and the last time I did it is because I came in at a bad angle, but it wasn't. It wasn't an art error. It was the archer for sure.
Yeah.
But to your
point,
I
like that. What say again? It wasn't
the arrow. It was the archer.
I like that. Always get a little pithy. I like that there, LG. Yeah, that's a good one.
Thank you. But to your point, so we'll go to the Harry's example. Yeah. Harry's did a great job of coming out with a more cost-effective product. Well, often more cost-effective means it doesn't have the same level of quality.
Correct.
Because now you may have some inflated profit in that higher level of quality, but there's also the intellectual property and the knowledge that goes into that as well. Right. But what Harry's did was they came out with a product. They said, here's who we are. Here's where we are. And they made it easy.
And they had a great story.
They had a great story.
We bought the factory.
Right.
That was their thing, right?
That was their story.
Blades were too expensive. We didn't just want to be another middleman. So we went to Germany and bought our own factory.
And then they said they created this membership model so that you don't even have to go to the store to buy it anymore. We're going to send it to you. You're going to pay us, and we'll send you once.
And now they're in retail.
And
now they're in Target.
Right. Now they are because that's growth, right? That's expansion and growth.
Willie H, research this. Is it? To my knowledge, Warby Parker and Harry's same founder, same startup guy, same startup guy. Let me know if I'm correct on that.
That would make sense.
But they also understood the problems that they solved, right? Your ability to look good without breaking the bank.
Correct. And they communicated that very well, and it was consistent.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see what he says about that. Did I make that up? Same guy? All right. Give me something. Hit a button on that. I got him on the internet and hit button. He's like, choose one, dude. I can't. I'm going to need some help soon.
Help me.
Yeah. Hit that again. What was that?
Maybe this guy can help.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good one.
I need one that's like, bingo. He'll capture that one. I did it so you can pick it up. All right, let's get into the list because we'll be here all day. We're supposed to be the business podcast for ADD people, right? So, like,
we can't. Church say amen.
Yeah, so we can't go full Rogan on anybody. All right, so I've got a bunch of these. I'm going to hop into them. So, number one, too jargon heavy.
Yes.
Like using industry terms, and that's very common because you fall into that, thing. Oh, the auditor. We specialize in scientific auditing processes.
Right. Yeah.
That bad.
What do you think?
Well, I think when and we had this conversation before on a previous podcast, I think when especially professionals that are highly educated and highly trained, they use language for their industry to communicate with other professionals in their industry.
Yeah.
They don't use language to communicate to their clients.
Right.
And so when you talk about jargon heavy, what they're talking about are the acronyms, and they're using the language of processes that get to the outcomes that they provide. But that's conversations that they have within other industry partners, collaborators, competitors.
We're your leading source for ERPs.
Right. Well, exactly. Right. And the person that you're targeting has no idea.
Correct.
That you call it an ERP.
Right. Yeah. Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So but that industry, it really the smarter people are and the more educated and trained that they are. And this isn't saying that these tend to be professionally driven companies or people that had to go through lawyers, doctors.
Yeah. Or even, I think just even a body shop might refer to that, right?
Yeah, well, parts.
We've got you've got a structural frame thingy, like, right? I mean, like, dude, I don't know. Can you fix it?
Right. Can you fix it for less than it costs me to buy a new
can
one?
you whatever? Like, I mean, so, okay, too jargon heavy. Number two. Oh, go ahead.
Yep,
okay. Number two, this is a classic sales one, right? Focuses on features, not benefits.
Oh, yeah.
And that's very interesting because that is very typical.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's whether it's something you use or something like that in terms of, like the granular level of what you're doing, from a feature that I don't necessarily care about. Like, how does it benefit me? Well, we've got a turbo turbine blow dryer. It features turbo
twin
Tech
turbo.
9 twin turbo Briggs and Stratton engine powered.
Here's a way to think about that mistake, and I apologize to cut you off, Cory.
No, you're fine.
Here's a way to think about it.
I cut you off all the time, so it's all right.
Here's a way to think about it.
Good for the gander.
Well, yeah. So here's a way to think about it in terms of personalization for salespeople, for sure, because that's the world we come from. But business owners, communicators, people that are very specific, they tend to talk about what they do and not what they can do for you.
Yes.
And so I'm going to tell you what I can do, and it's up to you to figure out what that can do for you.
Right.
And the other way to do that is to really lead with, this is what I can do for you. Mm-hmm. And if you're interested enough in that, then let's talk about what that looks like. And then when you agree to it, then we can talk about how I get there.
Yeah.
But instead of talking about what you do first, talk about what you can do for them, and then come back. And if it progresses to the point where there's enough interest to find out how you get there, most of the time though, when they're hiring you because you know how to do it and they don't want to.
Yes.
Voice of reason.
There you go, right there. I mean, yeah, absolutely 100%. And I think that gets lost also when people get into sales mode. And it's all very interesting because I try to observe. So like I'm somebody who gets excited when I'm talking to a prospective client. Yeah. And what's interesting about that is because depending on who you ask, that can create a belief system in the potential buyer that my excitement is about like trying to sell them something. But my excitement is really the creative aspects of what I believe is possible as I'm talking to them.
100%.
Right. Well, Cory, we really think we should be doing X. And then my mind starts moving this creative. And you've been present to these type of things. And people in my office, if we're talking virtually, are present in these kind of things. The other Mosley, she's in here. You were present on this call earlier today. When I got off, she's like, those were good ideas. I'm like, well, this is what I do. But technically speaking, I'm probably supposed to be less excited. Right, you know what I'm saying from a technical end.
I know
sales
exactly what you're saying.
Emotional buy-in from a client.
Well, here's what happens. Let's go back. We're going to go back to the beginning where you're talking about the person who sells used airplane parts. He's excited about what he does and what that can do. And I will say this. That's the guy I want to, if he sold parts to that plane, that's the guy I want to be sitting next to on the plane because he knows that they're good parts, So he feels good.
They come from Temu.
Correct. That's exactly right. Or eBay or whatever, right?
Yeah. But eBay, you might be all right. Temu, you want to Alibaba,
But to your point, it's not, you want the...
Did I say something crazy, Willie H? I don't know. That bad. You used that one already. Go ahead, LG.
What you want, though, is you want, as a potential client, you want the person that you're talking to be excited about coming up with solutions for you. One of the challenges, though, is it's not that it's wrong to be excited and to increase your level of enthusiasm as you have this conversation. What happens, though, is because we get so excited about what we can do, sometimes we start solving the problem before they realize that they have that problem. And so the enthusiasm becomes overwhelming. Not that it's wrong, because I want the person that's going to be solving my problem to be excited about solving it. The challenge that we run into, and again, I say this standing firmly on the ground in front of a mirror. I'm solving your problem before I even tell you what problem I'm solving. No,
that's true. And listen, I think that's this conversation is why we say we're not here to be anybody's gurus. Right? I mean, there's things that we each work on every day, respectively, in terms of the work that we're doing. And it is tactical. I mean, it's not manipulation, but it is tactical. There is a structure to building value, to showcasing the problem, there's a process to that. If you want to improve or do more. Now, this all is based on, of course, doing the right thing, providing a good product or service that people need or actually solves a problem or is valuable. We're not talking about this from an unethical standpoint, but that's always the baseline. But it's like, hey, if you're a business owner, most of us want to sell as much of our product or service as we can or possible or whatever. And that features versus benefits situation, the benefits don't solve, how you're going to improve the condition, of the customer.
Well, and this is the perfect example. And there's this study that was done at Princeton. I think it was at Princeton with Susan Fisk, that was led by Susan Fisk and Amy Cuddy. And it talks about, charisma and what people buy and what people believe. Right. And there are the two elements. One is, people buy your warmth. They buy your willingness and your interest in them first. So what when you're talking about strategy and you're talking about presentation skills, what that really means, what we're really talking about is it doesn't matter how much you know and how good you are at it, if they're not interested enough in working with you to be able to figure out if you can or not. So it's that study you talk about. It's warmth first. They need to believe that you care about them and that you want to be able to, that you feel good and want to look out for them. And then they want to know that you can do it. And so it's that, and that's part of where, when we start talking about what we do instead of what we can do for you.
Right.
What we do is our expertise, and that turns people off. Or it can.
Right. Yeah, I think it's, I mean, it also becomes right how we frame a situation, you know, because I'm very quick to go, if I observe something, let's just say it's a website or marketing or whatever, you know, I know what I'm saying. You're laughing already. If I'm faced with, if everybody's laughing, but like if I see that observation, like, hey, doesn't look like your website's been updated in a while.
Right.
Is that a problem that you interested in solving?
Right.
Because I have to understand, like, in the consulting world,
right,
I have learned the harder you have to convince, the greater the outcome will not be great.
Right.
Because I will have to do that along the way. Right. I've been trying to get meetings for 6 months. I've been trying to get that indecisive behavior are all signals from a potential client.
Oh, yeah.
And the last thing I want to do is, I'm not going to use the word waste. I'm going to say spend time and energy. Because if the answer is, oh, Cory, we don't care about our website.
Right.
That's a hard stop. I'm not going to have that conversation. Oh, I see you guys haven't posted anything in over a year on your social media. Oh, Cory, we don't care about social media.
Great.
I'm not in the Khan Academy department, right? to go through the education process. That's not, because I can't move quickly, because I will have a client who will second guess, paralyze, and analyze every single thing that's going to take place.
Right.
So if it's not that indicator, if the answer is, yeah, you know what, we know I'm kind of embarrassed by it, but we haven't found the right partner, or I haven't gotten around to it, or it's something I want to do, but I just haven't.
This might be a guy I want to work with.
Right.
Look, Willie H got some new stuff coming out. Yeah. Right. So now it's a different ball game there.
Right.
And there's people who will debate that, but I'm not a product or service. I'm not BK, have it your way, where they got to hit me with that ad every time to get, because it's competitive. And they got to hit me with that ad, and they got to stay top of mind.
Right.
So you're like, oh, I want a burger. Okay, great. Where do we go? Oh, BK, have it your way. You rule. Like, I know the commercial in my head.
Right.
That does not mean I'm at Burger King every day.
No.
So, you know, for those of you out there, it is, some of this is contingent on what you sell, how you sell, your niche, what what are you volume? Are you, we don't want 200 clients. I guess good problem to have, but that's not the structure.
Right.
So the decisions that we will make, how we pursue business or look for business or attract business will be based on that idea, versus the Valvoline guy down the street who needs to do 100 oil changes a day or every few days to make the numbers work. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, it's interesting. We, sales plays so much a part of our backgrounds and what we do and what we've done for most of our careers.
Yep.
It's like that client that continues to ask for more and more and more. Those tend to be the ones that are the least profitable and will buy the least.
Right.
It's so the harder you have to work to get their attention.
Yeah.
And especially the people that we're talking to in business services and consulting,
and
medical,
yep.
Right, absolutely. I mean, there's an element of work that goes into it, and you have to demonstrate your knowledge and proficiency. But once you demonstrate that you can solve a problem for them that they have,
right.
And so, and I'll use an example. I had a meeting yesterday with a doctor's office, and because I had built credibility with the lead person in their clinic of the team that I work with.
Right.
They had a new person that's on their team. It's only been there a couple of months.
Right.
And this new person was having a hard time getting something done for one of their patients. And the lead person, who I know, she goes, just send it to Lon, let him figure it out for you.
Right.
Well, because we had demonstrated our ability to solve problems for her, she's going to tell other people on her team, well, this is something they can do. Send it to them and let them do it. So it's really,
isn't that a great residual effect? So I talk about it a little bit in the book. I don't think I tell the whole story, but I talk about a guy named Bob Friedman in the book.
Okay.
And he was probably one of my first mentors.
Right.
I had one of my first offices like by myself at 20.
Yeah.
So he had an office down, it was a co-working space. He had an office down the hall. He was a CPA. retired from a big firm and was just doing kind of like private CPA work, small client work, something to do. He was in his 70s at the time.
Right.
So I mentioned him and talk about the impact he had, but without going too detailed a story, he literally came to me one day, knocked on my door, and said, I don't know exactly what you do, but maybe you could help me with this. And that door knock wasn't completely random. We had been building a relationship, talking, water cooler talk, sharing ideas. We both like German.
Yeah.
We both like the color green. We both like green cars. We both had green cars. We both had German cars.
Right.
He had the Big Daddy, and I had the getting started, version. But the idea that he thought I was smart enough or had a skill set, even though I hadn't defined that in his eyes in terms of what I did, was enough, compelled him to come and bring me really, I do talk about the idea that, what he brought me was an opportunity to help his client that we ultimately saved them a $1.2 million contract that they had back in the time as an IT firm. So imagine that at 20,
right?
And now had I led with that, I'm sure if the company was like, you got this 20-year-old kid responsible for this RFP and helping to structure this thing to rebid with a major corporation, Bank of New York at the time, which is whatever it is now, Bank of America or Chase or whatever it merged to be.
Right.
But like, if you had said that on the surface, like nobody asked for a resume, nobody asked for, it's like references.
Right.
I don't know who calls. I will put references in a proposal. I've never had a client call me and say, "Oh, I just got a call, so I got a reference call on you."
Right.
And I'm not saying that this isn't about me. I'm just making the point that when the value is high enough and you communicate it that you can solve a problem, all those things that people worry about that are micro, kind of go away.
Let's flip this.
And we're only on the second one, by the way.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there for sure.
Yeah, accelerated.
So let's flip this though, because it goes back to the conversation when you talk about what you do instead of what you can do.
Yes.
For you.
Yeah.
Here's what happens when you talk about what you do. They're going to want verification. They're going to want proof. They're going to want references. They're going to want all kinds of stuff. When you lead with, well, this is what I can do for you, and the reason I know I can do that is because I had another client that I did it for,
seeding,
and we've done it right,
language.
exactly, and proof. Mm-hmm. They're not going to. They don't need to look for references because you've given them the sense of confidence that you, one, understand their problem enough to be able to solve it, and two, you can solve it. And that's because you talked about it on their terms, not yours.
And what's so interesting about that is an excellent point. What's so interesting about it too is I've even said, like, my past client list actually is irrelevant.
Right.
Because what only will matter is if we can help you.
Right.
In your actual situation.
Right.
I can have same industry.
Right.
I can't, it's like no two used cars are alike.
Right.
Not possible, right? No two businesses. No two painting companies are exactly alike.
Right.
No two. So even if I went, oh, great, I've worked with 12 dentists.
Right. This
project could bomb, not because of me, not because of me, for a million different reasons, right? Because there's what's slightly different. The geography, your level of investment, what you're willing to do and not do, the market. There's so many different things. So really, you're lowering risk for them in their mind based on experience, or at least talking about, sounding like you know what you're talking about, because we've all know that can go awry too, right? We've heard people babble. Okay, don't say anything. I gotta get to the next one. No follow up. Cut his mic off. No. Okay, so I'm gonna pack. Let's pack two. Okay, being too vague. I'm gonna spend a lot of time on that one, but a lot of people, and what that's about though, to me, I want to see what you have to say. People have a fear to have a niche. They have a fear to go, oh, well, you know what? We can help this person, this person, this person, this person. That's very tough to communicate unless you have an unlimited budget and can do that. It's to me, it's very tough to communicate. What do you think about? So they end up with vague things, generic terms, broad problems, instead of saying, hey, we help lawyers better market their business. The fear is, if I'm a marketing agency and I say we help lawyers, what if I run into a plumber that I can help? But the risk, I think you go a lot further, a lot faster by being the lawyer, the specialty.
So I'm going to use an example of a past client, Anton Gunn used to be on he has been interviewed on the network. We both know Anton, professional speaker, worked, as a consultant on Barack Obama's staff, incredibly talented and incredibly fantastic speaker and person. Yeah. I was listening to him talk about his niche as a speaker and who he targets. He targets healthcare executives in hospital systems. And he was talking about it, and he was giving a presentation to other speakers talking about how to get specific on your topic, on your target. And he said, there are over 5,500 hospitals in the United States alone. He said, I could give 100 talks a year and still be giving talks for 55 years. Right. So the point of that story is this, is once you define yourself and you define your target audience, you become the expert in that lane and you have all these opportunities open up to you that you don't even know about, but you're the person that they send to, like this example that I gave with this office I was talking to yesterday. Send it to Lon because he can help you and that team can take care of you. I got it because we are defined in that space as experts and we've taken care of her before. Same thing. So the more defined you can make it, the more the experts you become in that space, and these opportunities open up and they come back depending on what you do. They're probably coming back.
Yeah. So unless you're dealing with a niche that is too small, right, where you can't fulfill that, piece 100%. That matches to what you're trying to accomplish, right? So, then it can become a problem to be too wide in that situation, right? Because there's also a rationale. I said to a client, the client said they do $7 million in business, right? So my point was, well, you can't have a $7 million business and work with a $7 consultant or marketing group. Right? Correct. It doesn't match. You're not going to get the level of ideas or strategies that you need because those people haven't played in that pool. Correct. Many of those people that would be advising you and say, well, great, they'd love to have that account. Right. But does that really match their capabilities, their resources? Right. And that becomes the tricky part too, when you also don't have that, you also don't have that niche and you feel like, I don't deal with startups anymore. Good. I've just found that like established companies that have performed well, that have great reputations, are the best people that we can come in with and then do some of the things that we do in terms of positioning, with the marketing strategy stuff that we're doing within the 5 pillars. Can it work on startup? Sure. But that mentality, dollars and cents, the track record's not there. The last thing I want to do is help somebody blow up that's got a 2.1 or going to go on to have a 2.1 on Google, Right. So, all right. So we being too vague. Next, assuming customers know their needs. This was the big Steve Jobs framework, right? About focus groups and the idea that some people don't know what they need. What was it, Henry Ford? If you asked people what they wanted, he would have said a faster horse. Right, 100%. Right. Yeah. Yeah, and look, you're the expert. If you're in this business, whatever business you're in, you're the expert in that business. And so people come to you because of your expertise. And or you go to them and say, hey, let me help you recognize that this could be better. Yes. And so sometimes you're right. They don't know what they need. They don't know what their problems are. They don't know a way that it could be better. And you come with an opportunity to make it better for them. But the only reason that they're going to care if it's better for them is if you demonstrate what it can mean for them on the other side. Right. Woo. When the church said amen. There you go. Next up, ignoring emotional drivers. So failing to address the emotional impact on the customer, right? Frustrations, fear, stress, worry, that type of thing. Yeah, absolutely. We've got a moving company client. If their messaging was, hey, we're great movers, right? That's not really the problem. Right. people are concerned that they don't want their stuff broken. They don't want their stuff stolen.
Right.
They want you to be on time, and they want you to, moving is a big thing.
Correct.
So communicating how you take the worry, how you are trusted,
Right.
how you take the worry out of it is much better than the technical. We've got the latest trucks.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a big one. Moving creates this whole level of anxiety because you're moving, because all the things that have nothing to do with the move itself.
Correct.
All of the things that go around it, for whatever reason, if you're moving, there's something driving that move.
Right.
So by being able to remove some of the fear and anxiety of the move, say, look, we're going to care for your goods and your belongings,
Right.
like you were moving them.
Mm-hmm.
Let us take care of that so you can go focus on all the other things that you're dealing with. And we're going to do it in a way that you're not going to have to worry about it. Now, you've got to give them confidence that you're going to.
Right.
And part of that is how you describe the outcomes and how you describe how their life is going to be better and where and what choices they get to make and how they get to be involved in that process.
Yeah.
100% right.
100%. So again, the emotion, it's kind of like, right, thought questions versus feel questions.
Right.
I was working with some car dealers and some salespeople, and I said, never ask think questions again. Oh, what do you think about that? Well, I think it's too high. I think that's too low. I think.
Right.
I want to know what the emotional capacity is.
Right.
Right. And what's interesting about this is if I gave credit to business owners, meaning I said, okay, this is not the first time you've heard a conversation about emotion versus analytical behavior.
Right.
The shame of it is, it's not if you know something,
Right.
it's how you execute on the idea. Right. So you can say, oh, great, yes, I know it's an emotional sale. And then the next word out of your mouth is, so what do you think about this, John?
Right, exactly.
After you just got off the podcast
Right.
that said, and you're like, oh, that's not new, Cory. Great, now go execute.
Right. That's exactly right. And it all goes back to the beginning where we talking about what you can do. What you can do is the mental, the thought. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you what I can do.
Yep.
As opposed to what I can do for you. And what I can do for you is make you feel good about what we're going to do together.
Yeah, I like it. All right, let's bring it home.
Yep.
I'm going to hit you with a flurry. I'm hitting you with rapid.
I'll pick a couple of them.
I'm going to hit them. No, I'm going to give you all of them.
Right.
And then we're going to talk about a few before we get out of here.
Correct.
Overloading information. So just too much stuff, right? Being too solution focused.
Okay.
Not highlighting urgency.
Okay.
And inconsistent messaging. That's a big one. Across the different platforms.
Yeah.
3 slogans, logos, everything's different over here. It looks different. A lot of that's because you probably have 3 different people doing something.
Right.
Right? You're not consolidated. Now, we refer to this in our world as integrated marketing, right? It's not integrated. It's not fluid.
Correct.
There's not congruence to that.
Right.
So pick any one of those to speak on.
What was the one? So overloading with information is really, we in sales, we call it throwing up on your client or throwing up on a potential client.
Thinking that creates more endearment to buy.
100%.
Right.
Right. And it's overwhelming is what it is, because you're telling them all the things that you know.
Right.
And you haven't identified what they're trying to accomplish.
Let me give you the product sheets on that.
Right, exactly.
Hey, we need Joe. We need some more product sheets printed. So we're out of envelopes. What are they? We're out of what is it? Brochure.
The brochure
envelopes.
Right.
So we can get some more of those printed so we can hand more of those out.
Yeah, and
let's get the ones that flip and tier. They have the different tiers and tabs on them.
Looks like ends up looking like a slinky going off of the table.
Exactly. That nobody reads.
Right. Right. That's exactly right.
Can we change the picture on this? I'd like a happier person on the front, because that's the conversion linchpin.
Right. That's exactly right. What happens though is that you start telling them all the things that don't matter to them. When you tell them everything,
right,
most of that's not going to matter to them. It only matters to you. What you have to do is identify what does matter to them, and then clearly target that piece of information. So if somebody's scared Going back to the emotion, if they're scared that they're going to do something and mess it up, what you can say is, by working together, we can reduce your fear of getting it wrong, and here's how we can make it work for you, so that you can have more confidence in the outcome. But you've got to clearly identify what they're trying to accomplish, what their emotion is, and then specifically use information that's going to target that. Because you may have 100 features. There's only 2 or 3 of them that are going to matter to them, but you got to figure out which ones matter before you start throwing it at them.
What do you think about the urgency piece?
I think you've got to identify urgency before you can address it. So, and what I mean by that is this.
I think every problem's urgent.
Well, every problem's urgent.
In the context of the pillar of marketing, right?
Correct.
You've got a bad website. You're doing bad marketing.
Right.
You've got misspellings.
Right.
You've got a poor social media presence.
Correct.
You've got no video content. You're not using video in any way. Like, that's urgent to me. That's not. We just had a conversation with somebody we've been talking to for 7 months.
Right.
And they keep pushing meetings. So I said, I'm not meeting anymore.
Right.
This isn't. I'm trying to solve. We've identified a problem 6-7 months ago.
Right.
That whatever else you have going on, is obviously not urgent for you.
Correct.
I think it's urgent.
Right.
Not just as someone, again, who benefits from the business.
Right.
I mean, because one deal, unless you're talking about, some colossal, life-changing, gajillion-dollar deal, it's some total that keeps you in business, not one deal, right? But it's like, okay, you have shown me that you don't have urgency here. It's not a priority for you.
Right.
And that's fine. Now, the next time that you're sitting around saying, our sales haven't grown, I can't understand why we're not retaining more customers like we used to, or like we never had, or why Joe Blow is writing more business than us.
Right.
Oh, let's think about it. Because you know how that manifests? 6 months later, the phone rings, and now we need it now.
Correct.
Well, I came to you a year ago.
Right.
So this could be planned. This could be structured.
Right.
It wasn't a rush to market, but it was a rush to, but there was urgency in getting engaged.
Correct.
To solve the problem.
Right.
Right? That's different than going, hey, we got to do this now. We got to do this now because for me.
Right. Well, and what you're saying, this is a great point, Cory. What you're saying is the results that we're getting now are results of the activities that we did 6 months ago and a year ago, because it's all momentum, right? This is a result of momentum. So if it's not important enough, so in the business that you're in, we're talking about marketing and we're talking about building congruency and messaging, that takes time to have an impact. So if this problem that you're solving doesn't matter to them, if they're not interested in this being a solution 6 months from now, it's not a priority right now.
Right. So
for you to say, you know what? Enjoy talking with you. I know that there's a problem that you have that we can solve. If you open to having that
I can't want your success.
I can't fix it.
100%.
Like I can't fix it for you.
That's right.
I can do it with you, but I can't do it for you.
And you can't be afraid to walk away.
No. Well, when I talk about the 3 C's of sales success, right? You start with connecting, and then you communicate, and then you close.
Right.
And close is you either close the business and talk about how you're going to move forward together, or you close the business and say, you know what, this isn't a good fit. We're going to walk away. But
what is it in a relationship? If to let them go, if they come back, then it was meant to be. I mean, that's the point. It's like, hey, I don't wish you any. This just isn't. I'll use the overused term in business. This just isn't a good fit.
Right.
So if it's not a good fit right now, fine. Right. I'm just making a statement. I'm not scheduling more meetings for you to reschedule.
Correct.
So if 6 months from later, this comes on your priority and you reach out to me, that's an indication.
Correct.
But me going, let's meet so I can help you.
Right.
Ciao, bacalao.
Well, here's the way I would say it.
Yep.
Lastly.
Okay. I'm going to wrap up.
When you're ready to walk away from somebody, I've invested as much of my time in you as I'm willing to, because you're not willing to invest your time in us or in the business.
The church say amen.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Thank you.
We're gonna do we're gonna do an episode on. I might entitle it the Kenny Rogers episode. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run.
100%.
You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done.
Yes, indeed. Rest in peace, Kenny Rogers.
The only place that I get to sing where no one can stop me is my podcast.
Right.
This is the beauty of your own media, people. Just if people tell you are a bad singer, guess what? No one can stop me right now. If I wanted to sing Don't Stop Believing and I wanted to belt it out, I could be a small town girl right now if I wanted to.
Yes,
All right, folks, we are getting out of here before this gets off the rails, and we'll be here. I want to thank you. A great episode, LG. Thank you as always, Willie H. I want to thank you as well. And we want to thank our listeners who are streaming us from all over.
Yeah.
Across all over. All the platforms, all America, all the world. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Live studio audience
that's
here.
Exactly
we got supporters. Check us out. If you're streaming, we love to stream. If you're listening on Spotify or wherever, check us out on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you can see the animation in real life.
Right.
And also, Position for Growth now in stores. Pick it up on Amazon or head over to the all-new CoryMosley.com to get your copy there and learn more about the products and services that we offer to help your business get positioned for growth. I'm Cory Mosley. This guy's LG007, Lon Graham.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for coming back.
And Willie H. On behalf of Willie H., this has been another episode of the Grow Business Podcast, and we'll see you next week. Willie H., take us out.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Yeah, it's interesting, too, when we start getting story heavy.
Yes.
How compressed.
Yeah, the content is like, but the stories are great. I mean, they're good. They're real life, and I think that's so much, so valuable.
100%.
Just from a relational standpoint.
Because
the bullet points will be there, right? Because can you imagine if we did it the other way? Here's 7 bullet points. It would be more. It would be like a public service announcement, like on the radio, and in 5 minutes we'd have a 5-minute podcast. I don't know.
Right, it'd be like an emergency broadcast system.
I mean, I haven't gotten anybody email me to say you guys should just shut up and get to the point. Till that happens, we'll keep doing it our way.
Well, it's not nearly as much fun to do it that way. Oh, absolutely not. Good stuff. And we've got a live